And now we move on to the final conference of E3, which technically wasn't a conference at all. It was basically a video that was streamed via Ustream, and this was the Nintendo E3 Direct. And before we start, I'd just like to say, stop fucking using Ustream.
Seriously, that was atrocious. We were attempting to livecast it, and we just spent the first 20 minutes trying to find a stable stream to even look at. It was horrible.
Usually those Nintendo Directs work fine, I have very few problems, but just that one time, I mean, I guess it was the large volume of people trying to watch it, but just go with Twitch. They're known for game streams and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, let's move on down this list. Pokemon X and Y was shown, which was a bit weird, because I was told it was going to be a Wii U only conference, but whatever, smush them both together, I guess. I guess the most important thing you can mention here is that the fairy type was confirmed.
Ah, yes. I can't remember the three Pokemon they used. I think it was Clefairy, Jigglypuff, and Marrow.
Also Gardevoir.
And Gardevoir, yeah. But Marrow?
Yeah, I don't see Marill being like Water Fairy, personally. Gardevoir, definitely. Sylveon, I saw that coming a mile away. It was either going to be Bug or, a new type. It definitely wasn't going to be Flying. There was nothing Flying type about it.
The thing with Marill is that it's part of the Fairy Egg group, so I'm guessing a lot of Pokemon that are in that egg group are also going to become Fairy type.
Looks like I just got fucking told.
So I imagine Togepi and Togetic and that lot will be swapped to Fairy as well.
Pokemon and Me from X and Y was shown. Basically, as Kato has helpfully put in brackets here, Nintendogs for Pokemon. It's implied to have some benefit to the game as a whole. Maybe it ups stats and so on. I heard rumours, well before E3, that there was going to be a way to buff up IVs and EVs, so maybe this has something to do with that, but I imagine it just buffs up stats in general.
Yeah, and you get to kind of make funny faces at Pikachu and watch it do the same back to you. But speaking of EVs and IVs, they also said that they're going to be sort of a bit easier to kind of manage, and they're going to be a lot more, well, not a lot more important, but a lot more visible, certainly, for the people that do want to head down that road.
More than Nintendogs, since I haven't played Nintendogs, it reminded me of interacting with Dream Eaters in KH3D. And while that is kind of a negative, I think it's going to be more helpful for Pokemon than it was for Dream Eaters.
Probably.
The roundtable for X and Y actually came afterwards, but since this is an E3 conference, we might as well discuss it here. They brought up a few new things. There's the player search system, which is a multiplayer feature that allows players to battle, trade, and connect through the internet, like usual. It uses the bottom screen, and you can see people playing both globally and locally, and I'm not sure, but I think you can do battles and trades without the use of a Pokemon Center, so anywhere basically, so a big improvement in that regard. There's a thing called Horde Battles, and a Horde Battle is basically where you get up to 5 Pokemon attacking you at once, so you're going to want to bring some, area of effect moves, like Earthquake, for those battles.
Seems pretty awesome, actually, things like sort of Earthquake and stuff like that, just going, oh, there's 5 of you. Well, I can do this! And just wiping them out.
Apart from, giving you the ability to gain EXP more quickly, it also increases the chances of shiny Pokemon.
Ah, true. But it also means you'll be more traumatized walking through Cave of Zubats.
I'm curious to see how it's going to work. I'm hoping they might restrict it for early areas, because if you're running around with your starter Pokemon and you suddenly run into 5 level 4 Rattatas, you're going to get destroyed.
But yeah, X and Y looking great. It's got diagonal movement. It's set in a place based on Paris, France. So, it's got style going for it. Music sounds great. Graphically looks great. Look for it in October. Next up was the 3D Mario title.
Ah, yes.
I'm sad to say this was one of the big letdowns for me.
Yeah.
Of E3.
I'm not interested in this any more than I was 3D Land.
Yeah, they brought Peach in, and the logo's got a nice, one of the letters of Mario is pink to reflect that, which is quite nice. But catsuits, yeah.
For those of you who were expecting, something on the level of 64, Sunshine, or Galaxy, you're basically getting a HD sequel to 3D Land, same kind of level design and so on, but with multiplayer. You can play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Toad. So basically, it's also a spiritual successor to Super Mario Bros. 2, the US version at least. I enjoyed 3D Land, but I thought it was a very bland game. It lacked challenge, even in the latter half of the game. And Cat Mario doesn't impress me. I'm sure it'll be fun when I play it, and it looks decent, but it's lacking in imagination, it's lacking in scope, and I think they can do so much more with this.
One of the special Miis that you can get on Street Pass now is one of the Nintendo executives, and when you meet him, he'll say, "I like cats." So they're trying to really sell the cat suit, apparently.
It was the same thing in 3D Land. As Yahtzee said, they threw like a dart at like a dartboard, and it had a bunch of stickers on it, and it landed on the Tanuki suit sticker, so they based the entire game behind it.
Pretty much, yeah. And then during this developer conference, one of the in-house cats steps onto the table, and they just thought, my god, imagine Mario in that, it'll be amazing.
Slightly dodgy wording there, Digi, but I'll let you have
You know
it for
what
now.
I meant, come on.
I mean, it looks fun, but it's safe. It's extremely safe. And before you say, oh, it's got multiplayer in 3D, that's amazing. It's local only.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, wow.
And whenever you say stuff like that, people say, oh, it would lag online, it wouldn't be perfect. I don't care. That's not my problem.
It's not, it's theirs.
You know, make it work. You're the developers.
It makes me think of 3D Land mixed with the new Super Mario Bros. Wii games.
Yeah. That's my problem, personally, with Mario platformers nowadays. They're so homogenized, they're trying to cross the stream so much, that eventually you probably won't even be able to tell what's new Super Mario Bros. And what's a Mario, what's a 3D Mario platformer. And that's the problem. They're playing it so safe.
There's sticking to your guns, and there's being stuck to your guns by duct tape, superglue, and contact adhesive. There's room to breathe, but they're just being so sort of static about the whole thing. The Mario series has got great ideas for innovation. Just look at Galaxy. Like, that was brand new when that came out. That was something that nobody had ever even thought of, and it worked amazingly well. And they've just kind of stuck back to their staples again. It's not as good anymore.
Moving on to the next game, Mario Kart 8, which, funnily enough, impressed me a lot more than 3D World.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, it looks great. Looks better than I think any of us thought, a HD Mario Kart would look like. Especially since the rumours surrounding the game were basically Mario Kart 7 souped up.
Yeah.
Like literally a souped up version of 7, just on the Wii U, which I was terrified about. I was like, oh my god. Because when I was watching it, I saw Mario Kart 7 tracks, and I was absolutely dreading what I was going to see next. And then it showed off the gimmick for the game, which is anti-gravity. There's tracks that you go upside down, up and down, and all around on. You can stick to walls. Bikes are back, which is cool for me because I mained a bike in Mario Kart Wii. 12-player online is back. You can host tournaments, which is probably the natural evolution of the communities feature on Mario Kart 7, which I'll be honest, worked quite well. And when we did host Mario Kart 7 streams on here, which I might bring back, just running up to Mario Kart 8. Was very fun. And so yeah, I was very impressed by Mario Kart 8. Best looking game I think they showed, apart from the one at the very end, which we'll get to. But I was very impressed.
You forgot the most important thing, Tom.
What's that, Spar?
Mario Kart 8 will support the Wii Wheel.
Yay! You're just mad because I stand on you with a piece of plastic.
Isn't Waluigi back as well?
Yes, he is.
Oh, good. I mean, I honestly really don't care that much about Mario Kart. I honestly hate it because I suck so bad at it. But it looks great. Like, they went, oh look, Sony's made an anti-grav game. That's pretty cool. And, that's what it is. Mario Kart 8 looks really cool, which is not something you'd really associate with Mario Kart, let's be honest. So,
I mean, I've always enjoyed the Mario Kart series, but I never in my life thought I would utter the words, this looks better than the 3D Mario platformer.
Yeah, that's not a sentence you would ever say in normal circumstances.
So yeah, definitely going to pick up Mario Kart 8. It looks fun as shit. Next game they showed was Wii Party U. That's going to be delayed, as is Wii Fit U. And I don't know why these weren't out for launch. They seem like titles that would, clear up massive sellers. Wii Fit especially, as we'll get to again with the last game. Art Academy Wii U, there's going to be a special Miiverse version of it. And then there was like a sizzle reel of third-party titles. Yeah. There was Assassin's Creed, Batman, Arkham Origins, a 3DS version of the game, which looks okay, I guess. Deus Ex Director's Cut, which has since been confirmed to be on other consoles, so a bit of a blow there. Disney Infinite, which honestly looks pretty fun, I'm not going to lie. Just Dance 2014, which is obvious, Ubisoft and Nintendo, at the very least, love their Just Dance money. Rayman Legends, which is no longer exclusive and should have been out months ago. Scribblenauts Wii U and 3DS, which I could have sworn was out already, but maybe it's
a newer version, yeah, from what I could see.
It's the Marvel version, Marvel Heroes version.
Oh, that's it. Yes, of course, yeah.
Disney Planes, which I'm surprised I didn't fall asleep during that little clip.
I don't even remember that existing.
Shin Megami Tensei 4, the gameplay they showed of it was dull. Really, really dull. But I know it's going to be better than that because I've seen better gameplay for it. Skylanders, no opinion. It's going to clear up at retail. Splinter Cell, it's Splinter Cell. You got your basic stealth and whatnot. Sonic Lost World. I like Lost World. I just need to see more of it. That's why there hasn't been a specific HellfireCast on that as of yet. Watch Dogs again. Jesus Christ. I want to get Watch Dogs, but you're just shoving it down my throat at this point.
Back up a little bit, Jesus.
We're just breezing through these now, because we pretty much all have the same opinion. Then there was like a bevy of eShop titles. I'll just go through these as fast as I can. Ballpoint, Cloudberry, Coaster Crazy, DuckTales, which looks great. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's got voice acting from most of the original cast. It's got Alan Young back as Scrooge. Always great to hear his voice. D&D, Mutant Muds, Oddworld New and Tasty, which I was really surprised about, because last I heard, Lorne Lanning hated Nintendo.
Yeah.
Although, to put a little bit of context here, it's not going to be released on the Xbox One, so maybe that's why. Maybe he went to Nintendo instead, because Nintendo have kind of opened up the gates to indies as well, so it's much better to publish on the Wii U than it would be on the Xbox One. Maybe not as much as the PS4, but definitely a much more open platform overall.
Yeah.
And then you had titles like Shovel, Spin the Bottle, A World of Keflings, and then they showed Wind Waker HD, which is going to be 1080p at 60 frames per second, I think.
No, it was confirmed at 30, actually. The way they confirmed it is because, NBM had a fit about this, but the daft speedrunners were trying to do all the glitches and things in front of Nintendo reps, which you don't do, but whilst doing it they did the storage trick, which is only possible at 30 frames a second. So it was confirmed that it is running at 30. It's basically the same engine, the same physics and everything, it's just a nice HD texture remake, which is unfortunate.
And the HD remake doesn't look that good to me. Honestly, the graphics don't look that much different.
There's a lot of bloom, which I think kind of covers that up.
Yeah, the bloom doesn't look that great overall, to be honest. It looks actually quite good in Mario Kart 8. Again, that's the graphical showcase so far for Nintendo HD titles. I don't think I'll be picking up Wind Waker HD. I think I'll just wait for the Wii U Zelda, personally. Yeah,
I think so as well.
I've just picked up a copy of the GameCube Wind Waker. I don't need the HD version.
Among the things they changed, the draw distance is much better. It loads the entire ocean at once now. So what they've added is an upgrade for the sail, which you don't get straight away, but you will do later. It's basically a red version of the sail, which allows you to sail faster. The Tingle Tuner, I believe, is gone. You now have the Tingle Bottle, which you can use to send messages to Miiverse. The Triforce Hunt has been said to have been streamlined, which is good, I guess. There will be no cut dungeons put back in, because they have since been used in other Zelda games, which I kind of guess, but at the same time, it's a bit of a slap in the face.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have them.
But for the most part, it looks okay. I'll just wait for the proper tile, honestly. Next up, the Wonderful 101 by Platinum Games was shown. It looks like Beautiful Joe on crack.
Which is always good, because I loved a bit of Beautiful Joe.
Since 101 is going to be short, I may actually rent it, because, in this day and age, and I hate that I'm saying this, because I think I've decried the same thing multiple times in the past, games need to be a certain length to justify their price, which is often why developers end up padding their games. But props to Kamiya for saying, no, I'm going to make the game I want, it's going to be fun, you will have fun while it lasts.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like
That's
that.
always nice.
Exactly. It's what games are about.
And next up was Retro Studios game. And it wasn't Metroid, it wasn't Zelda, it wasn't Star Fox, it was a sequel to Donkey Kong Country Returns called Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
I don't like the Donkey Kong Country games. I'm gonna come out and say it and get hated for it. It's 2D platformers, and I don't like them. But may rent it, may not. We'll see.
Literally the only bullet points of Tropical Freeze I can think of are David Wise is back to do the music, so yay, I guess. And the camera goes 3D at points to show you a different perspective of the level, but at its heart, it's still a 2D platformer. And I'm going to be honest, for a HD game, don't look that great. And two, that's not what's going to sell consoles. It will probably sell a lot of units itself, but it ain't going to move a lot of Wii U's. Oh yeah, and Dixie Kong is back as well. Anyone?
Yeah.
No. I was actually getting a little bit angry. I was like watching this and I was like, because they chose to do this over Metroid. Mm-hmm. It came out afterwards. Retro Studios actively chose to do another Donkey Kong Country Returns instead of going back to Metroid. And again, more power to them, it's their choice. But I think people would appreciate a new Metroid game after the travesty that was Other M.
Ooh, it's not.
Or another Star Fox game.
I mean, granted, they may have another team working on something in the background, and if they do, I'll hold up my hand and say I was wrong. But for the time being, this was a very lackluster showing. So, yeah, that was another letdown from Nintendo. Then they showed Bayonetta 2. Looks decent, runs at 60 frames per second. Bayonetta has short hair. Probably going to be fun. I didn't care for the original. The camera sucked shit, and I was pretty crap at it, but you know what? That's my problem, not the game's.
It looked impressive, and as you'd expect from Bayonetta, full of ass, full of tits, full of action. So, what more do you honestly want?
I'll say Drazer was having a lot of fun on the live cast when that showed up.
Oh, he was.
I won't be picking it up, but I'm sure people that do will have a lot of fun with it. Until I got to, Chapter 5, I was having a blast with it, and then I just kind of hit a wall. So, yeah, you like it, again, more power to you. Then Monolith Soft showed off a new trailer for X. That's literally the only title it's got so far. It's a spiritual successor at this point to Xenoblade. They're taking everything they learned about Xenoblade, building on it, and it looks great.
Looks so good. Just from the trailer, some of the gameplay they showed, the mechs and the actual battle mechanics. And I mean, I do like Xenoblade. I've unfortunately never played it myself. I do need to pick up a Wii and get on it. But from what I've seen from you guys streaming it, it looks amazing and it plays really well. So I have very high hopes for this because I miss those kind of massive RPGs, which is why I'm really excited that FF15's turned out the way it has. Because I miss those huge open world RPGs where you could just fuck around in them, basically. You can just pick up a mech, fly in it, and then smack the shit out of something with a massive sword. That's what I like to do.
I think Spar will agree with me when I say that Xenoblade was definitely one of the best games of the previous generation.
It's my favorite game on the Wii, yeah, definitely.
Damn.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that it's not a direct sequel, but I think it'll be great all the same. One thing I have heard, though, is that you can't just get into a mech anytime you want. They're only at particular sections during the game when you're allowed to do it.
Oh yeah, I would have expected that, because just watching from the trailer, the guys run up to the mech suits and get in, which is fine. If you could get in one at any time, you would break the game.
True, so, at least we get mech flying.
And it looks pretty. I believe it's coming out next year.
It's very pretty, and the song in the trailer they used was pretty awesome as well, so...
Yeah, the song in the trailer has been really, really divisive. A lot of people like it, a lot of people hate it, and I think it's because it screams JRPG much more than the whole orchestral, Latin, or sort of Latin singing from the last trailer. And Xenoblade never really gave off that feel. Sure, it was a JRPG, but they didn't shove it in your face.
It had the most British voice acting known to man. How could it possibly have been a JRPG? Come on. It's rhyme time! How is that a JRPG? Seriously.
Exactly. But yeah, I definitely want to get X.
Agreed. Definitely.
And the last game they showed off, which should be obvious to anyone who has been following along with Nintendo news, was Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. That is literally the name. Smash Bros. For Wii U and Smash Bros. For 3DS. Little pun in the title, though, there. 4 and 4. F-O-R, F-O-U-R. You get it? No? Okay, moving on. First thing they showed was the 3DS version, and I was thinking to myself, because they basically show Mario, and he's all cartoony, and then there's like a thick black outline around him. I thought, oh, this must just be a stylistic choice for, the segue into the gameplay. But no, one of the points about the 3DS version is, because you're playing it on a small screen, less so on an XL, but they probably haven't taken that into account, they want to make the characters pop more, so they've given them a black outline. I don't know how this is going to work for characters like Ice Climbers, where there are 2 characters at once. I think they're actually going to have a problem with that, and they've stated as such. But 3DS version looks pretty fun. And apparently you can build up your fighters on there and transfer them to the Wii U version. They haven't released any other information about that so far. And again, that was one of the points that was known before E3, but it's always nice to get a reconfirmation of things. And then they showed off the Wii U version, and holy shit, it looks fine!
It looks so impressive. Like, you were saying that Mario Kart 8 is the graphical benchmark of this conference. Like, Smash Bros. Came pretty close. It was incredibly impressive to watch.
Textures are smoother, animations are more fluid. It just looks great. Graphically, it looks fantastic. Gameplay-wise, a few things were, confirmed. Final Smashers are back. Bowser has actually had, his entire stance, moveset, I guess, changed. He now stands more upright. What came to my mind was Bowser's Inside Story. He reminded me a lot of his incarnation from that game.
I think that's where they took it from, because it's not the standard Bowser anymore.
And then showed a little clip of Mario and Bowser fighting in what looks like a Punch-Out arena, so maybe we'll get Little Mac, maybe not. And then the Animal Crossing villager has come to play. And you know what? I've wanted Villager, as they're now calling him, since the days of Smash Bros. Brawl. So I'm very happy he's in. He can dig holes, bury characters in them, drop bowling balls on them. I think his up and B move is to copy the likes of Balloon Fighter, which is pretty cool. He can plant trees, cut them down with his axe, and, crush the opponents to send them, rocketing off stage. And he looks like a very fun character to play as.
He can catch what looks like every projectile. The trailer had him catch fucking Samus's missile mid-air and just pocket it, and then grab like an energy ball and pocket it, and it's just like, good God, you crazy son of a bitch.
That's what I've heard.
And then he can throw it back.
Yeah, he can get any projectile, which is different from what previous characters have been able to do, where they can only catch certain projectiles,
or reflect
be them physical or energy.
It looked good. It ended as all trailers do, and then it said 2014. Little bit of a black screen. New challenger approaching.
Nintendo got us, boys.
Spar, lead us into this, please.
It's a character that everyone's been wanting for a while. It's Mega Man!
Oh, yes!
It's classic Mega Man as well.
It was akin to Sonic being revealed in Brawl. I've tried to get into the Mega Man games a lot of times. I find them to be very hard games. I wasn't used to that level of challenge because I never played them as a child. But I was fucking hyped, because not only does he look extremely faithful to his NES counterpart, but he utilizes the powers of the Robot Masters, such as Metal Man with the metal blades, Hard Man, the hard knuckle or whatever it's called, and finish off with, I think it's either Fireman or Flame Man's little thing. And he looks great. He looks like a very versatile character. And there's a little bit at the end of his reveal where it showed off, I think, the Yellow Devil.
Yes.
So maybe the story mode has been enhanced, so each character has specific bosses.
Which would be quite cool.
I didn't pay attention to that. That would be nice. Get specific bosses. But would you have Mario and Bowser, or would they have someone else to fight?
You could have characters like Cackletta or the Shadow Queen.
Oh, Cackletta would be pretty cool, actually, to see in Smash Bros.
I'd love Paper Mario in Smash Bros.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, if that was just like a character skin, that'd be pretty impressive.
There's another character that was announced alongside Villager and Mega Man. Wasn't in the trailers, but she had her own trailer afterwards.
Wii Fit Trainer. Just...
Thank you, Digi.
Oh, sorry. It's just... I can't decide whether it's ridiculously stupid or ridiculously amazing. I can't figure out my feelings on it, because on one hand, it's the Wii Fit Trainer. Like, what the fuck is she doing here? But on the second hand, she looks amazing. Like, she looks like she'd be incredibly fun to play as. I just... decided feelings all over the shop on that.
I have a lot of experience with this character. Obviously having a lot of time spent in a Wii Fit and so on, so I wasn't, like, too shocked. I kind of went through multiple stages. I was like, first it was shocked, then it was kind of anger, then it was denial, then it was just acceptance. she does look like a fun character to play as.
And apparently they only put her in because people were constantly sending Sakurai messages about, you should put in this character, you should put in this character. And so he just went, fuck you, I'm putting the Wii Fit Trainer in. So...
I think his exact wording was, I get requests for characters all the time, so here's one no one ever requested.
Yeah, something like that, which is amazing.
Amazing. But, Sakurai taketh away and Sakurai giveth. Tripping is now gone.
Great success.
Which is great, because it was a mechanic that didn't do anything for casuals, didn't do anything for hardcore. It gimped the game for no other reason than to spite Tawny fags.
Pretty much, yeah. There was absolutely no point of tripping. And I mean, I think we got through to him during that traumatic experience on top of that building at one time, and, he took our word instead and just took it out because it just gave him bad memories, quite honestly.
And apparently I've heard, I don't know how, confirmed this is, but apparently the speed of the game is somewhere between Melee and Brawl.
Yes.
So it's a nice little compromise in that regard.
And as far as other characters I'd like to see, Marth will probably be back from Fire Emblem. They're probably going to put Chrom from the most recent Awakening.
Actually, that's a good point. The 3DS version of the game will have exclusive stages that are based on, handheld games. There's like Nintendogs. There's a stage from 3D Land there. Apparently, there's an arena from Fire Emblem Awakening there. I think there's a stage from Donkey Kong Country Returns 3DS. So, take that as you will. But yeah, that looks pretty great.
It looks pretty impressive, although I am going to start an official petition to get them to rename it to Fisticuffs and Kerfuffle. Because, quite frankly, they have far superior names. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like a return to Smash Bros. Basics. So that's why they didn't give it an official subtitle and so on.
A nice sort of strip back of the paintwork and just putting on a new coat, which is always good.
What I'm looking forward to is seeing how much they've improved the online, and since Namco Bandai is helping out with things, and apparently since Tekken Tag Tournament 2 on the Wii U works beautifully online, that should work pretty well. In terms of characters, obviously I've wanted Verger for a while, so I'm going to play as him. Mega Man looks fucking awesome, definitely going to play as him. Wii Fit Trainer I'll give a go, I guess. Other than that, I just hope Shulk gets in from Xenoblade. That's really all I want.
Just trying to think of sort of other characters. I mean, I'm going to be honest, and I'm slightly biased here. I would fucking love to see Billy Hatcher in Smash. I think he would work so well, honestly. Just his mechanics would work for a fighting game, because they had a battle mode in Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, and it worked okay. So
build a stage, get on it, and then get the fuck off it. Overall, not a bad Nintendo Direct. Far too overhyped, which was probably my fault for falling for the hype to begin with, but there you go. I really enjoyed what they showed of X, Mario Kart, and Smash Bros, with Mega Man in particular being a fantastic surprise. But other things like Super Mario 3D World, Donkey Kong, and the general performance of the live stream itself really dragged down the quality of the Direct for me. I'm going to give Nintendo 3 out of 5, and I hope they go back to doing an actual conference next year. Just cut out the facts and figures, save that for investors' meetings and whatnot.
I can agree with that. I mean, there was X Smash, which I've never been particularly interested in, but it did look good. And, Wonderful 101 was pretty good. So, I'm going to stick with a 3, I think. I can agree with that.
I'd say 3.5. Between Pokemon, Mario Kart, X, Smash, Sonic Lost World, there's a lot of things to look forward to from Nintendo. I'd say 3.5 fits them best here.
Fair enough. So basically that makes it, if I'm recalling my scores correctly, Sony, then EA, then Nintendo, then Microsoft, then Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, on this podcast, which will probably be split into two and spread out over 2 days because it's so friggin' long, we have a Q&A. I asked people on our Facebook page to send us a few questions that we could answer on this podcast, so let me just scroll down. This first one comes from Dan. How do you feel about Kingdom Hearts 3 being on both PS4 and Xbox One?
I don't really mind, because, more consoles, more sales. That's it, really.
I feel about the same. I don't care that it's on Xbox. I'm getting it on PS4.
Pretty much. Well, if I ever get a PS4, I'm going to be buying all the multiplats and exclusives on there, so there you go. Okay, this is from Philip. What games at E3 caught your attention the most, and what do you want to see more of?
Well, Mirror's Edge 2, Kingdom Hearts, FF15, I'd say, were the big three. What I would have liked to have seen was Beyond Good and Evil 2. That was sorely missing from the conference, but other than that, no, I had a pretty solid lineup.
FF15, KH3, and X. My 3 big games from the conference.
Basically everything I've squeed about here and Digi just mentioned. One thing that caught my attention most of all was Mario Kart 8. I'm surprised at how much I want to play that game. It looks really fun. Again, like Digi said, the only disappointment of the show for me was a lack of Beyond Good and Evil 2, but given the fact that at the EA conference we got a new Battlefront and a new Mirror's Edge, I'm not going to complain about not getting one game that I wanted. This comes from Pasco. What is your opinion on the introduction of Fairy type to Pokemon? How would you predict the type matchups for this new type?
Honestly, having gone off Pokemon slightly, but still excited for X and Y, it's just another thing for me. I was expecting it to happen, but I'm not too fussed, really. It'll just happen as it happens.
Yeah, we kind of knew it was going to happen. I'm glad it's super effective against Dragon, and I'm also glad that it's weak to Poison, 2 types that needed what they got.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're changing up old Pokemon to have the new type as well.
All I have to say about this is, watch out, Dragonite. Jigglypuff is coming for your ass. This comes from Eric. With the new additions to the Smash Bros. Roster, who do you think is most likely to not be included from Brawl?
From Brawl? I personally think that maybe sort of Sonic might not make it. Maybe a couple of the other third parties, but to be honest, I think they're probably going to try and bring as much of that roster as they can, because it was a pretty solid roster, to be honest.
I can almost guarantee that Ike is not going to be in it because of the Fire Emblem exclusive deal. Besides that, I don't think Snake's going to return either.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Snake came back. I would cry if Sonic didn't come back, because if we can't have the blue Blur versus the blue Bomber and actually have worlds collide...
I've just thought of that. Holy shit, that would be amazing.
Ramiro says, what is your opinion on the upcoming console generation now that Sony and Microsoft have come out and said what they've needed to say?
As far as my opinions for the generation in general, they're relatively good. The thing I have about it is the fact that, in my opinion, one has dragged it down, whereas the PS4 has dragged it right back up again. So it's sort of evenly balanced, but it's a little bleak, but I'm holding out hope.
I'm amazed that we were all so upset with the PS4 launch, and now E3 has come and we've all seen a light. And everything looks good and happy, except over there in the corner where Microsoft is at.
Just rocking itself to sleep.
That dark corner, and all I have to say is PS for life. Thank you very much. William says, what do you want to see in Kingdom Hearts 3?
Everything. Just as many Heartless as you can cram on the screen at once. But, no, in seriousness, I would love to see the command deck make a return, but just that kind of, not quite open world, but the nice open aspect that Kingdom Hearts 2 had. And as long as I get the gummy ship segments from Kingdom Hearts 2 again, I will be so happy. I loved those things.
I'd love partners to return. There probably will. I'd like the magic system to return, but still keep some form of command melding. And I don't know how that's going to work, but I'd like to see a combination of those. Dry forms. I want dry forms.
What do I want back? I would like for them to rescind their silly little rule about not using TV shows so we can finally get gargoyles in. They have said they're going to go with some crazy worlds and whatnot, but it's probably going to end up being Cars. A fun game with a nice little bit of depth to it that ties up the Xehanort saga with a very pretty looking bow, and hopefully it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. Just give it a generation or so to rest, and then come back with the PS5 or so. Make as many spin-off games as you like, but give the main story a rest now.
That is going to be the nicest, prettiest, most well-rendered bow you can possibly imagine. It's going to look amazing.
Okay, Peter says, what do you think of seeing a new Octodad console game after you've played the first one?
Love it. The original Octodad was the stupidest idea that turned out to be amazing. So I am quite excited that they've managed to hook on that indie section of the PS4.
It's so gratifying to see an indie go from being relatively unknown to just having massive exposure. Like, they were in the Sony conference, they highlighted that, and I'm going to play it, because it was a very fun game, it was unique, I had never played anything like it before, love it. This is from our very own Cold Chaos, actually. What do you think of Oddworld New and Tasty? Would you like to see new puzzles or a full remake? We've kind of already discussed this, but in regards to new puzzles, again, as I mentioned, since it doesn't play out in the same way as the original, it would leave room for new puzzles. What do you think, Digi?
I'd quite like a couple of new puzzles. I mean, the whole charm of it is the fact that the puzzles were sort of... They had a nice mix of being like, what the fuck do I do here, to, oh yeah, this is pretty easy. So I'd quite like them to kind of mix a few more, and if they can, in that kind of same vein. But I'm perfectly happy with it just being a HD uplift, to be honest, because that game was amazing.
And there is one last question here, and I can't think of a better question to end this HellfireCast on. What are your opinions of the Xbox One?
Pathetic. That'll do.
My feelings are summed up by ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Boink.
Exactly. Has there ever been a console that actively hated its audience more than the Xbox One? Has there ever been a company that fucking hated the consumers more than Microsoft? I don't think so. Even Sony at its worst is not as bad as Microsoft currently is being. It is fucking appalling. And if you buy the Xbox One, you know, again, more power to you, but the joke's on you.
Can I just also point out, whilst we're on the topic of similes, there has not been a greater dickhead, tosser, prick, insert expletive here, than Don Matrick has been at this year's E3. Holy shit, how much do you hate your own consumers to be that much of a tosser?
So, yeah, one to avoid, I think. And this has been the longest HellfireCast today, not counting that old Sonic retrospective that FTA and I did, which isn't technically a HellfireCast, but, you know, put it into the fold and whatnot. So, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next HellfireCast in 2016 when we come up with a topic that actually interests us, which is the reason it's been so long since the last one. We were just waiting for something interesting to cover, really. And yeah, thanks for listening. Hope you've enjoyed. See you next time.